Am I doing it?
Still refreshing the page. Nothing yet. Oh, I see it.
You see me?
I did see it.
All right. So here we go. It's a little early. I was gonna do 8:30, but I'm like, you know what? I'm here and why not? So I don't have anything pre-planned. Now, I wrote the first video for the Alchemist Queens, and it's actually chapters 1, 2, and 3. And I called it the um, Alchemist Queens, and I put it on my channel, and nobody watched it. And then slowly over the last, I don't know, week or two, it's picked up like 30 views or something like that. So nobody has seen it. So it feels a little dumb to keep writing it. Um, but I intended to work on it all year, 2026, make it a series. I said I would and dedicated myself to it. I'm also writing the Detective Faraday series and working on a completely separate side project. So it's a lot of writing, but I write every day anyway, so why not, right? So I will just give you a little rundown. Um, so the Alchemist Queens is just basically, it's their story, their origin story, how they learned the art of alchemy, and what their plans were for the future. And so now we're on chapter 4, and we're aiming for roughly 36 chapters. So we're just a little bit in. So in this chapter, they and this is what I'm kind of wrestling with, right? Because I really want before I we still have Chat Helper, my relative here who helps me. Say hello, Chat Helper.
Hello. I'm here to
She's
assist in the chat.
battling a cold. So
Oh, great.
it might be a little rough for her, but she has volunteered um being the younger and more technically savvy person to read the chat and relay it. I'm not going to pretend that I do not know our chatter. He is one of my oldest friends, one that I have known literally three-quarters of my life. Been there for everything. So, um, he logs in and chats so that I'm not all alone. He's very supportive of my writing. I think he believes in me more than I believe in myself. Everybody should get a friend like that. So, here I am writing chapter 4 of The Alchemist Queens. So the whole idea is that this becomes a series. I started with kind of reworking The Alchemist and the Twins into The Alchemist Queens, just taking that story and making it more detailed, more robust, giving the characters more defined personalities, showing, not telling, as they say, more dialogue, more of the interactions between the sisters, and then also why they were able to use the witch's spells against her, their sort of background in witchcraft, which started, of course, with their mother because she knew the powerful daughters that she gave birth to, right? So I've been thinking, do I start linearly? Do I start chapter 4 where chapter 3 left off and then show the planning and the strategizing? Or is it more interesting if I fast forward 5 years and I start 5 years in the future where the girls have paid for their army, paid for their loyalty, um, manipulated the men that they needed to manipulate, and they have everything in place, and now the army is going to strike. Now, I am an outliner. I like to outline and have an idea of what I'm going to write before I sit down and write. Now, I don't necessarily have the outline next to me while I'm writing, but I really like to put my thoughts in sort of a linear before, middle, after, step one, step two, step three kind of thing and organize it in my head and let it kind of roll around in there for a day or two. And then I just sit down and spit it all out. So for the first step for me is always organizing. And since I'm completely fresh and I haven't even decided what to write for chapter 4, I thought I'm just going to show you. I'm just going to show you the whole process and you can see and hear and watch what I do and maybe it'll help you. And if not, that is fine. But we're just going to go with chapter 4 and I'm just going to call this outline because that's what it is. Now, normally I would do the outline in Excel because I really like to drag and drop and cut rows if I think this should happen next, or insert rows if I think that should happen further down, delete. I really like to do it that way, but it is extremely difficult to see for you guys. So I'm going to do my best to just put it in this Google Doc and just try to write it in lines. And then yeah, I'll spend the week writing it into an actual chapter. And then next week we'll do the next one. And we will just keep doing it. So, chapter 4. I like to start with action. That was advice I was given many years ago, and it's always stuck with me because I've thought about movies that I've seen. And if it starts with action, it like pulls you in immediately. Somebody's running from the police, somebody's running down a dark street, it just it pulls you in right away because you're like, "Ooh, what's going on here?" And it's way more interesting. So I always start with action, and I always will. So in my mind, and again, this is a rough draft, everything can change as we write. So in my mind, it's Christmas night. And you're like, why? Why is it Christmas night? Okay. Well, it's Christmas night because I read somewhere that there was a very important battle. I don't know if it was back in George Washington's day. I don't know if it was in the Civil War. I don't know when it was, but it was way back in our country's early history where the enemy struck on Christmas night or Christmas Eve night. And the soldiers were drunk because they'd been celebrating Christmas and drinking, and they did not think anyone would attack on a holiday. And so I always felt really bad for them because they were just celebrating Christmas and then the enemy closed in. And I'm like, that is such a great strategy. Get them when they're not expecting it. Get them when they're not going to be in a position to defend themselves. So I envision this that it's Christmas Eve and it's a battle, right? It's cold, the the ground is frozen. There's soldiers, in the castle and they're drinking, having a good time, celebrating. And I think the castle is probably less staffed than normal because it's a holiday, and this is my world, and in my world, that's what's going on. So it's the perfect time to strike. So the enemy, which in our case is the good guy, this is because our main characters are, you know, plotting to overthrow the king. They want ultimate money and power. So they're not good people, but there are protagonists. Not all protagonists are good people. That's just how it works. So in our case, the enemy is the good guy. And I was thinking of doing it like a narrator style, like a fairy tale style, where there's like an omniscient narrator and she tells you the story of like what's going on in this battle. But then I was thinking it makes more sense to pick a character, a man, one that one that's in love with one of the twins and she's like manipulated him and he helped assemble and train and organize and lead this army. So I have this name that I like, Rosen. It's a Gothic name. It's a Gothic men's name, and it's more on the obscure side. And I love the way it sounds. I love the way it looks. So for right now, we're calling him Rosen. And so what I'm thinking is he's the commander. Um, he's in love with one of the girls. And I think the obvious one is Sybil because she's a little bit darker. She's the one that's a little bit morally and more morally ambiguous than the other one, than Lorene. So I think Sybil would be willing to manipulate, you know, men.
Oh, Kyle's here.
Hi, welcome.
Yeah, yeah. So he sent a few very cool. We're all the um villain in someone's story. My phone sucks. We are all the villain in someone's story.
Oh, that's cool. I'm not, but I bet you are. Um, I mean,
uh,
maybe when I don't feed my cat right when she wants it, but maybe my sister thinks I'm the villain. That would be great.
you're the villain in her
I'm the
story.
villain in her story. That would be
Uh,
hilarious.
that would be.
But yeah, no, I was thinking, um, these girls had this plan, and in order, yeah, the money is nice, right? And that definitely can buy them the army, the soldiers. But the army and the soldiers aren't anything without somebody to command them, somebody to lead them, somebody to train them, somebody to strategize and put this whole thing together. And so I'm like, okay, why would he do that? Well, he would do that if he thinks he's going to be king, right? He's using her as much as she's using him in a way, right? She needs someone to help her overthrow the king so she can take the throne with her sister. He loves the idea of being powerful, of being a leader, of helping this woman because then she'd be indebted to him. He thinks, well, she's a queen. She loves me. She'd make me a king. So there's something in it for each of them. Neither one of them is doing this necessarily because, you know, it's the right thing to do. They're doing this for, personal gain, right? And in some ways, they're using each other. Would I say either one loves the other? No, but I don't think certain personality types can love. I think they can form obsession. I think they can be codependent, but I don't think they can truly love. And I think sometimes people confuse intense emotions with love, even though that's not what's going on. But in this particular case, I wouldn't say these two people love each other, but I will say they pretend very well and that they maybe each think that they have the upper hand, the power in the relationship, if you will. So, Rosen, you okay, bunny?
Yeah, no, I'm good. I have a coffee to help me.
So, what I'm thinking is it starts during the battle, right before they breach the gate. And what I'm thinking is you actually have to get to the wall, scale up the wall, and then you open the gate from the top. It pulls up. So there has to be a first line. You have to scale the wall, open gate. That's what I'm thinking, right? So what I do when I'm writing these kinds of outlines is I'm thinking, what would I be doing? Okay, so I'm Rosen. I'm the commander. What would I be doing? I would be with the second wave of men. right? I would have assembled a wave of the first men, and it's their job to get close, scale the wall, get up there, open the gate. They would have to be skilled in short range combat, hand to hand combat. Um, they would have to be in lighter armor. They would need equipment to get up the wall. And then once they got up there, they would have to signal. Once they signal, I lead the men and we charge through the gate into the castle. Now, at that point, we have to know where to go, right? So we would need to know the layout of this castle. All right. So right before they breach the gate, so right before the first wave. Okay, so it's gonna start. It's gonna start with the men on the frozen ground waiting. And I like to think in terms of senses. What are they seeing? What are they thinking? What are they feeling? What are they hearing? Right? It's cold. The ground is solid. I don't know if you've ever been on um, solid frozen ground, but it's hard as a rock. So the ground is solid. Um, they're wearing gloves, but I don't know if you've ever had like where it's so cold that the gloves help, but your hands are still cold. So I think it's like that. I think it's so cold that they're wearing gloves, but their hands still ache from the cold. Um, if they're wearing armor, maybe it's beginning to frost. Maybe frost is forming on it because it's metal. I think you'd see their breath. Um, they'd be still. Are you okay?
Hello.
Are you okay?
I think so. I'm just drinking water.
All right.
Yeah.
So they're waiting for the signal. Hearts are beating, right? That's the sensory details. That's going to help me later. And then Rosen. So this is from his point of view. Rosen is watching the castle. He's waiting for the right. He sees. So this is what I'm thinking. And I don't know if this makes sense to anybody but me, but the first thought I had is, how does he know when the right moment is? It's a castle. It wouldn't have had electricity. Everything would have been heated with fireplaces. So I'm thinking he sees the chimney smoke like thin out. Do you know what I mean? And maybe he sees some of the candlelight wane. Um, because that means the party is dying down. Will it just start up again? Can you tell me if it's going? Sorry, she was throwing up and I got worried, so I had to go check on her. She's fine. And she's getting over a cold. And I made her come over here and help me. I feel so bad. We could just
Oh,
end.
no, I'm fine. It was a very unexpected thing, but I feel fine now, so whatever. So
All right.
um yeah, we last
Seriously, if you can't continue, it is fine. I will just ignore the chat and the chat will be fine. The chat will
yeah,
survive.
that's like that's all good.
The chat will go on to thrive in life. All right. Speaking of the chat, has the chat said anything else?
Um, glad she's good.
I
Thank
know, me
you.
too. I didn't, she said she was over being sick, and I feel like I was misled because I just wouldn't have streamed, you know? I would have said, we could do this next week, especially with the holiday tomorrow and stuff. But she was like, no, I'll be fine, sure, I can moderate your
I
chat.
don't know. I don't know. I felt perfectly fine.
See? That's the
Yeah, so
story I got.
what is the
At
story
least she's
I have too?
consistent in the tales she tells.
She has the plague. I do the plague.
Well, I guess if you have the plague, then if your dying wish is to moderate my chat, then I can't say no.
It that is true. It is.
Who am I to deny the wish of a plague survivor? All right.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm thinking, and this is just the first thing I thought of. He's out there in the cold. They're in the shadows. They're in the shadows waiting. It is freaking cold, but they're holding very still. Frost is forming on those metal helmets that they wear. They're waiting for the right moment. But it's a castle. How do you know when the right moment is? But then I was thinking, like the chimney, maybe the chimney smoke just like starts to thin because nobody's stoking the fire anymore because they're all going to sleep, right? It's one of those things. The fire starts to die out and it starts to smolder. So there'd be less chimney smoke. And then everything was candlelit. So you just blow out your candle like that. And so then I think the candlelight will wane. And then he knows it's the right moment. So he gives the signal, and the first wave approaches. They're going to be like synchronized like river dancers. I don't even know if I spelled that right. They're going to be synchronized. They're going to be quiet. They're going to be low to the ground. And they're going to get to the wall. And then just for my like convenience, I don't think the gate is guarded. I think it's just the holiday. There isn't as much staff in the castle as there normally would be. The staff that is there is partying. There's like a false sense of security. Like, oh, it's Christmas, right? You don't think anybody is going to leave their wife and kid, put on their armor, march across the frozen land, hang out in front of the castle, and like come in. It just doesn't seem like something anybody would do. So I think that the gate would be unguarded. I think it would just nobody would even think of it because everybody's busy partying. Nobody's like, "Hey, Arthur, why aren't you at the gate?" I don't think anybody cares. I think it's more like, "Hey, Arthur, want some more ale? Let's play some cards or whatever they played, right?" So I think it's more like that type of situation. So I think they're able to get to the gate pretty easily. It's uneventful. They scale the wall, open the gate. Then, this is the moment they've been waiting for. Rosen gives the signal, and the big wave advances. They get into that castle, and that's all she wrote, right? Once they're in, people are sleeping, people are passed out, people are drunk. They take that castle easily. And I think word reaches the twins before the sun even rises. Because I think our friend Rosen here cannot wait to tell Sybil that the king is dead. And she and her sister are now rulers. I think he cannot wait to tell her because if she's queen, that means it's not long before he's a king. And I think they'll celebrate. I think it'll be great. It'll be a great Christmas present for her. And I think she'll tell her sister, they'll tell her mother, and the three of them will be like, all right. And then I think in the morning, um, the girls and their mother will head to the castle. Um, Rosen is there with his army. And I think they would do something fun. Okay, maybe fun is the wrong word, but I think they would do something flashy with the king's head, like, put it on a spire somewhere, display it somehow.
Also, Carl said, "I'm one of those." I assume he is referencing a synchronized river dancer.
I just, I don't know. I remember my grandfather, oh, sorry, my guardian, um, not actually blood related to me, but old enough to be a grandfather, was Irish. And his Irish heritage was super important to him. And he had cousins who did that Irish clogging, step dancing. And he loved Riverdance. Now, Riverdance was everywhere at a time. And I remember seeing it, I don't know, on like a PBS special or something. And that was the most synchronized dancing I had ever seen. It was so like every single person clicked their shoe at the exact same time. They were like stiff from the waist up, their arms straight at their sides, and just tap, 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 tap. Like it was insane. It was like thunder, like synchronized, choreographed thunder. It was like I had never seen anything like it. So yeah, synchronized like river dance. Am I going to write that? No, right? Because that's not a medieval fairy tale term. But in my mind, that's how I see these guys moving, like boom, 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 right? This cannot fail. This has to be precise, controlled. His whole future depends on success here. And this is no small feat. The king has an army. That's why we're striking on Christmas. So yes, thank you, Chatter, for the
Oh, oh wait, he's not done. He has a suggestion for the king's head.
oh, perfect. I can't wait to hear this.
Soccer.
Well, okay, that is an option, and I won't put that in my notes, but I'll remember it. Um, so I'm thinking like a display, right? Back in the olden days, and you know what I'm talking about because you are a history buff. They would display the head. It just sort of like a macabre thing, but like a warning. Like, if you do X, Y, or Z that this person did, your head's ending up on one of these like his. It's a warning. Like, we don't play around. It's F around and find out, medieval style, right? And they were macabre, man. They would like steal heads and like make wax molds of them or whatever, and then like make wax replicas of their face. It's weird. They would make these death masks. Like, they were weird. Yeah, display it somehow. Let me write, not as soccer, more as a warning. So now they're in the castle. There's going to be, they have to expect some resistance. But I really want there to be, so back when I wanted to be a screenwriter, um, I was reading books about screenwriting. And one of the things that it said that stuck with me is this one word, and I'm going to make it because this is the most important thing in a story: conflict. You write the conflict, and the story will evolve out of the conflict. And in this type of story, there's internal conflict and there's external conflict. And there's all kinds of relationships where there's conflict, right? And that's what we are gonna figure out. How much of that conflict are we gonna put in each chapter? And each chapter is going to build. So chapter 4 is in the future, and I really like jumping forward to the night they actually achieve their dream. They actually overthrow the king. He's beheaded. Carl plays a little soccer with him, and then they put it on a spike, put it outside. It's just like a warning, right? Um, they're like, okay, come get us. Look what we did to the king. Hmm, got an army? I didn't think so. We do, right? Good luck, guys, right? So there's already conflict there because what I'm thinking is there are nobles, there are nobles, there are wealthy allies, there are members of the king's army who weren't there that night. There are other kings who are also allies of this fallen king. They are not going to be happy with what these girls did. They're not going to be like, "Oh, okay, you had a stronger army and you're really wealthy, so you overtook the king." Yeah, sure, that's fine. They're going to want to fight back. The question is going to be, what do the girls do about this? Because they're going to have anticipated this. So I think they will already have talked to some nobles. I think they'll already have some backing. I think they will have made some promises, some alliances, and all of that will come into play because they now owe these people. And they're not quite strong enough yet. So they're going to need to build more of an army. They're going to have to build alliances. They're going to have to make rules between each other. Who does what? how do we rule together? Then they have to recruit for their army to make it, and they're going to use their wealth. They're going to use their beauty, everything at their disposal to solidify this position, right? And they're going to have to defend the castle. So there's going to have to be a strong military presence at the castle at all times, morning, noon, and night. That has to be the first priority. But there's going to be Rosen wants a wedding, right? He wants to be king, and he's getting mad because she promised him. And look what he did for her. So there's conflict between them. They also have a mother who is a powerful witch. And I had this idea to name her Zai, like that or like this. I thought like a one syllable name would be great. And I was like A, B, C, D, E, and then like Fa, Ha, Ja, Ji, Ki, Li. But when I got to Zai, I was like, ooh, I kind of like Zai. Just like she's a witch. She's got a one syllable name. It looks weird. It's kind of cool. Zai. I don't know. You guys might not
Yeah.
like it, but I kind of like Zai.
I don't know, maybe I'm biased, but I like Zai. It's like a cool, like mysterious. You're not gonna meet another person named Zai.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I was thinking of names for the mother witch, and I'm like, I wanted something that was one syllable, and I narrowed it down to Carl and Zai.
uh, those are both brilliant names.
It was tough to pick. I've never met a woman named Carl, so it would really just have like that ring to it. But
Wow.
does
What
Carl
would it
does
have like
Carl like the name
special?
Zai?
Let's see if Carl likes the name Zai. I know it's like a little delayed, so that would be awesome.
Naming her Carl or Zai?
Oh, I'm unsure.
Is Carl like a medieval Gothic name? Can I name somebody Carl? Oh my gosh. Not Carl, Jarl, like this. Jarl.
Um, and also Carl says female Carl. Oh, Jarl.
Yeah. So
Jarl.
Jarl. What do you think? I don't know. It just sounds in my mind more like medieval, more like fairy tale, more like fantasy. Like Carl has a ring to it, but I like Jarl. Like he's
Jarl.
like a guy with one eye and an eye patch and like a wooden leg, and he's been through some stuff, but he is still kicking.
Yeah, like lives in the cold. So like I said, like I was
Yeah,
thinking like one of those
immortal
like deep like
Jarl.
Nordic. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Nordic unkillable Jarl. Maybe he's a pirate. Oh, that would be fun. What if Jarl is a pirate and he's a tough guy and he's been through some stuff. He's almost died like 3 times and keeps kicking. He's got a wooden leg, he's got one eye, and he can still kick some, um, as Motley Crue says, I'd say we kicked some, you know. Kickstart my heart, right? He is a badass guy. Jarl. Yeah. And maybe he's Rosen maybe maybe Rosen brings him on and he's got the strategy. He's no nonsense, no prisoners. He's not emotional. He's very strategic. He's a thinker. He's a planner. He's smart. And because of this guy, this guy is one of the, he does not fall for BS. And so that makes him sort of indispensable, right? But he's also, a guy for self-preservation. He doesn't trust anyone. This guy's going to take care of himself. He's going to watch out for himself. He's going to watch his own back. He's ready for anything. So he is a tough cookie, right? And he looks out. He looks out for Rosen. He wants that guy. He wants that guy to be king for a couple of reasons. I mean, one, because he genuinely believes Rosen deserves it, but also it puts him in a good position because being the right hand man of a king, that is a good place to be. So now we've got the girls, right? They have each other, they have their mother. And then you've got Rosen, and Rosen has his own guy, a really tough, like, pirate guy with one leg and one eye. This guy's been through the meat grinder, he's been spit out, and he's lived to tell the tale. He can do more with his one leg and one eye than most able-bodied men can do. He's a beast. So you've got this like formidable force, and you've got those girls, and they've gone around, right? They've gone around, they've made friends, they've donated, they've gained favor, they've thrown big parties, they've become well liked. Maybe their mother has done some spells for people, some revenge type things. And so people are scared of them. And this adds another layer because having the witch craft on their side makes them right formidable. Oh, it is an A. All right. So then the conflict between the girls, they're very different and they're also the same. I have read that narcissists and what they call empaths are cut from the same cloth. They originate in the same kind of background. It's just one can't deal with shame and they become very self-preservative. They become very self-centered, whereas the empathetic ones they don't want people to ever feel the way that they did. And so they're born the same way, but it manifests in different ways, but they're still the same at their core in a way. They still feel that same sense of shame, that same sense of pain, that same sense of hurt that they felt when they were, young. It's just they channel it in different ways, and the personalities grow differently. And that's how I see these two. I see Sybil as very um self she's self-centered in the way that everything it's like a chess game to her. Life is like a chess game. It's how do I move the pieces to benefit me? Everything is how does that affect me? If it doesn't affect her, if it doesn't benefit her in some way, she disregards it completely. Everything is about her. And she has goals. She wants power. She wants respect. She wants to be feared. She wants to be like untouchable. And she doesn't want anyone to be able to hurt her. Whereas Laureen, while she also wants the power and the wealth and the respect, she'd be willing to live without them. Maybe doesn't even think she deserves those things. But hey, if they're there, why not enjoy? She also sees herself as the stronger one. So she is protective of her sister, even though her sister is technically 2 minutes older. She sees her sister as too standoffish, too cold, too unemotional, and she thinks she can handle her sister, right? But they're not always going to see eye to eye. And I had this idea when I was first writing this that once they become queens, they make a rule. And the rule is no man shall come between us. And they agree from the very beginning that it's them against the world. No husbands, no boyfriends, no advisors telling them what to do. If they can't agree, both of them, on a rule, then it doesn't happen. No law is made without both of their approval. And you can see how this would cause conflict because there's going to come a time when they are not going to agree. And they're going to say, well, we didn't agree. And the other one is going to be mad. And she's going to think, like, I can just say more, just come up with some way to tell her. And she's like, nope. So you've got one who's made up their mind. They're not changing their mind. You've got the other one that's desperate. And they're just going to do it anyway. They're just going to say, you know what? Too bad. What is she going to do about it? Right? So you can see the potential for conflict there. If you make that kind of rule with one other person, like we both have to agree 100%. it just opens it just opens a door where the other one can say, "We agreed that we weren't going to kill Bill." And then she's like, "Well, you wouldn't listen to reason, so I had to do what I had to do. In time, you'll see that I was right." That kind of thing, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think that make sense of right, like at first it's going to be fine, but as time goes on there's going to be more and more like resentment
Yeah, because that's what I'm
that
thinking is the
grows.
tone. The tone for chapter 4 is okay, it starts with action, it starts in the battle. They breach the castle, word gets back to them. It's a celebration. Oh my gosh, the thing we've been working for 5 years. It's here. We did it. Rosen breached the castle. The king is dead. And then it's the long live the queens. Like, woohoo, party. They go to the castle. That's got to be exciting, you know, to actually be in there. And Sybil immediately is going to be like, "This throne won't do. I want my throne to look like this, and I want my crown to look like that. And we need to get a designer in here. We need to get a metalsmith. Like, we need to get a jeweler. We need a dressmaker. Like, I've got work to do. I've got an image to create." Where, and I think in my mind that Sybil wants the big gold crown with the jewels. I think she wears her hair short and really curly, like a Marilyn Monroe kind of vibe. Like I think she makes her lips red. I think she wears brightly colored, gaudy gowns with crystals and ruffles and just like things to get noticed, things that other people don't have. And I think Laureen is a lot more simple. I think she wears like a thin silver tiara with no jewels or anything. I think she still wears like brightly colored gowns, but I think they're very simple. I think they're very tailored. I think they have minimal embroidery, no jewels. I think she wears her hair just down. I think she's a no fuss, no muss kind of like Australian surfer girl, kind of just natural beauty kind of thing. I think they're very different in the way that they present themselves. I think in my mind, Sybil is a cat person, but not just any cat. It has to be a very fancy, long-haired, beautiful, like Persian type cat that loves her, just lays in her lap and purrs kind of cat. Maybe one that bites other people, but is really nice to her. And I think I see Laureen with like a big dog, like a big like like a Rottweiler or something um it's like a big dog. Like one of those um oh, what are they called? The name is on the tip of my tongue. It is a cane corso. A cane corso. I see Sybil with a cane corso and like a crazy name, like it's like it is a big dog. That's how I see these girls. Because Sybil's not, oh, sorry, wrong one, Laureen. Because Laureen's not this like shrinking violet kind of girl. She's just okay letting her sister take control. And she does like having nice things, and she does like being a queen, and she does like being respected. She just doesn't feel the need to be out there in everybody's face like, "Hey, look at me, I'm the queen." Right? She's a little more subdued. She wants to enjoy the wealth on a more down low. And I think she feels it's her responsibility to anchor her sister. I think she sees her sister as just like kind of crazy, and she sees herself as like the grounded one. So she feels like she's the person who reins her sister in a way.
Oh, all right. So there are two. Oh, so there are two things from Carl.
All right, I'm ready.
The first one was like a I think in the last conversation of it doesn't make sense. Um, which I think is the one with their dynamic. And he also said my thumb has two big scars from one of those.
From a King
So it's just
Corso,
like yeah.
or from not making sense. Um, what part doesn't make sense? I'm sorry, I know being from the north, I am a talker and I don't know what part.
Oh, wait, he said that was supposed to say does make sense.
Oh, okay, good. Well, that's better. Then we can move forward.
Yeah.
All right, good,
Alright,
good,
perfect.
good. Yeah. So I think the relationships between the girls and their mother, the girls with each other, the girls with their advisors, their pals, their right, they each have to have their own group that sort of advises them and has their back. There's going to be people who work in the kitchen, there's going to be ladies in waiting. They're going to get, riding lessons and whatever. They're going to go to parties and dinners and, you know, all those kinds of things. And so they need people to advise them on, how to do these things. They're going to need military advisors and strategists and all of those things. They're going to have to make strategic alliances. So both of the girls at some point are probably going to have to marry to solidify allegiances. And I think they both know that that is going to happen. I think they're going to have to grow with their witchcraft, and I have some ideas for um like future um chapters and different conflicts that they could have. I even have like this crazy wild idea that is gonna, I think, be very shocking to people. So I'm not gonna reveal that, but I kind of, that's what I want to do, is make it very conflict heavy. Everybody's strategizing, everybody, you're either trying to help somebody or you're trying to help yourself. You're battling with someone or you're battling against someone. There's power struggles because the mother has the ultimate power, but the girls have the secret to the alchemy. They know how to make more gold, right? They're the ones with the wealth. They're the ones who can buy pretty much anything. And and that's the thing. It takes me back to The Count of Monte Cristo, which is my favorite book. But when the Count finds the treasure, he has become the wealthiest man in the world, right? This treasure is enormous, beyond anybody's wildest dream. I think it said there was an emerald that was the size of the palm of his hand, like huge, huge gemstones, just a ridiculous amount of treasure. And the guy who was helping him dig up the treasure, find the treasure, says, "Wow, you found it. Like, you're now the richest man in the world. What are you going to buy?" And you expect him to be like fine clothes, steak dinner, a mansion, a really pretty hooker, whatever. And he's like, revenge. And I love that so much because, yes, you can buy any tangible thing, but you can also use your wealth strategically to accomplish a goal. And revenge is great, but in this case, it's power. You're the richest women in the world. What are you going to buy? Power, influence, control, security. We are never going to be those poor, frightened young girls ever again. We're not going to be outcasts because of the way we look and because of who our mother is and because of witchcraft. We are going to practice it openly. We're going to hold our mother in a position of respect. And if you come against us, we will kill you. And that's what they want to buy.
Isn't that like about like the grand things you can buy with money, but they want to like change their lives for the better forever with their money.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many things you can do. When you get money, you can spend it or you can save it, right? If you decide you're going to spend it, there are things you can spend it on. Entertainment, um, hobbies, interests. You can give it away, you can buy gifts, you can buy material things, houses. You can buy things to kind of show off fancy shoes or fancy handbags, jewelry, um, things like that, right? You can buy whatever, but you could also use it in a way where you're not really directly buying anything, but you're using it for influence, right? There are people who will flock to other people because they're wealthy. They want to be associated with wealthy people. They feel like it elevates them to be in the presence of somebody who's wealthier, right? They feel like they're a better person if they're worthy of being friends with a king or a queen or a celebrity. People go nuts when they meet celebrities, right? They somehow think that that says something about them. Oh, look, I got a picture of this celebrity. Oh, this celebrity shook my hand. They think that somehow makes them better because they see that celebrity as being something really special. And it's the same in this situation. If you could be on the queen's good side, if you could be the queen's friend, if you could be the queen's confidant, that's got to boost your ego a little bit, right? So there's going to be people who want to get close to them just so they can say they're friends with them. So their money is indirectly buying respect, admiration, and stroking their ego, right? So, yes, you can buy tangible things with money, but these girls are going after the intangibles.
Oh, yeah, that's really smart. It's such a a great strategic way.
And see, and that's what I want. See, because I find that some narcissistic type people are very manipulative and they're so smart in knowing how people think and feel and behave and react. And because they're so intelligent and they study human emotion so carefully, they manipulate people in the most subtle ways. And in some ways, they start laying the groundwork really early. And I've been watching, studying some of these people, their dark psychology. Very fascinating to me. Very fascinating how they move the little pieces around the board, right? Like, for example, this person was laying the groundwork to break up with her husband, who is somebody she makes content with. And she knew people were not going to be supportive of it. So she started very subtly making little tiny comments, leaving little tiny tidbits, little clues that her husband might secretly be abusive. And she would just say little things like, oh, we got in this big fight and he controls this and he controls that. I don't want you guys to hate him. He's not a bad guy. Like, she knew that if she painted this picture of him and then immediately covered for him, it paints this picture because she knows that this is how people in these situations act. And so she's reenacting it. And so she ended up breaking up with him. Everybody ended up hating him. She ended up trashing him. It happened just like she wanted. But now she wants to get back together with him. And her audience, they gave her a lot of money to leave him. And they don't want her with him, but she wants back with him. So now you see her subtly laying the groundwork again. Like nobody can say anything bad about him. Leave him alone. He's not as bad as you're making him out to be. You guys are making this up. And what do you care if I'm with him or not? Like she's starting to like, you guys are crazy. That never happened. Oh, it wasn't as bad as all that. Oh, you're making it up. Like trying because now you can get people to doubt themselves, right? Well, maybe that didn't happen the way I thought. Well, maybe it wasn't as bad as that, right? Because now she wants him back. And it's that subtle manipulation. It's like putting down the train tracks before you drive the train. And that's what she's doing. And it's so interesting to watch her do it. I know she's doing it. A lot of her audience knows she's doing it. And she has a lot of supporters who can't see that dark psychology that are just like, let her live. She wants to get back with him. Woo. But she literally said he was trying to off her. like, not 2 months ago. like
That is
it's
insane.
insane. And then she took all this money, thousands of dollars, to leave him and start her life over. And she did it with all this subtle manipulation of like painting this subtle picture of him being this bad guy without ever saying it directly. In fact, she kept saying he's not a bad guy. Yeah, I'm crying, but it's because I'm crazy. Like she did all of this like subtle manipulation. It was fascinating to watch. But because of that, because I see how it works, the manipulation, I absolutely want to write that into her character. That manipulating people by making them think the thing is their idea when it's really hers. Or subtly like dropping hints or clues so that when something happens, people will think back and be like, oh, wait, I remember that one time that she was like this. Remember that one time she was crying in the park? Remember that one time she had the black eye? Like, oh my gosh, that had to be him. And they put the pieces together without her ever saying it because she puts the pieces together so brilliantly. So I definitely want to incorporate that sort of little bit of manipulation, if you will. And of course, her sister will see right through it because her sister knows her. But then she'll always say, listen, this is the price of your crown, right? And then I think Laureen has moments where she wonders if she should just give it all up. Like let Sybil be the queen. But then she can't really do that to her mother. So yeah, it's a very interesting dynamic.
Yes, indeed. And it sounds like the perfect dynamic for a filled like drama and conflict.
Yes, that's what I think. I think a situation like this would be very dramatic, but it would also be very dark. Because in the beginning, I think Lorene is on board with whatever we have to do, we have to do. But then she gets to a point where she's like, okay, listen, we've got our crowns, we've annihilated these armies. You've married man X, I've married man Y. We have our alliances in place. Now we stop and we just rule and we enjoy. But Sybil can't stop. It's like that billionaire who has $1 billion, but he needs a billion more. You know, he's got, there's $5 in the economy. He's got four of them. The rest of the world is sharing that $1, but he wants, 50 more cents. Like, it just can never be enough. The yacht can never be big enough. The bank account balance can never be big enough. Like, his ego is so big, nothing can ever be enough. Even when he has it all, he wants more. It's like a dragon laying on their giant hoard of gold, right? It's like that. It's like, yeah, we've got crowns and alliances and power and all the wealth we could imagine, but maybe we could get just a little bit more. And then Lorraine's like, ugh, really? Right? Because we're not even enjoying this anymore. But Sybil is. She's having a ball. So you've got like the grounded one who's reasonable, but she's also done some things, right? I see her willing to cross some lines. I see her willing to betray some people. I see her willing to stab people in the back to get the power because she wants it too. The difference is she only wants to do as much as necessary, whereas Sybil doesn't have that boundary. There is no only a little, only as much as necessary. It's more whatever I want, whatever I feel is enough. So for this chapter, yeah, I think I really want to build that, the building blocks. And I think we could already maybe see the cracks starting to form. Like we could already see them kind of butting heads, and we can already see mom kind of intervening, coming in and just being like, girls, remember what we're doing. Remember what we're doing this for. Let's be strategic. But then on Rosen's side, he's got the same thing. He's got Jarl being like, be strategic, don't trust her. He sees what Rosen doesn't, right? Because Rosen's ego tells him he can manipulate her, but he can't. But he doesn't realize that. He thinks he has her wrapped around his finger, but he doesn't. So there's just so much room for conflict. And I definitely think conflict should drive the story, but it should make sense. I I was in a writing group the other day, and this person had circulated their first draft of something, and apparently the feedback they had gotten was that their protagonist was boring and one note. And he's like, all right, so I need to make my protagonist less boring. So I've decided that he has explosive rage and he just freaks out on people sometimes. Really? That's your idea of not being one note? I mean, that's not what that means, right? And it's funny because some people in the writing group were like, yeah, go for it. Give him explosive rage disorder, or intermittent rage disorder, whatever they called it. That's a great idea. And then one person said, don't do that. One voice of reason was like, no, that is not going to make your character interesting. And it is going to be very confusing to your audience. So here's the thing, it has to be believable, it has to make sense, and it has to be rooted in logic. And here's the thing, a person becomes who they are partially through, DNA and partially through life experience, right? Nature and nurture, right? That's what we call these things. If your person has, let's say, an explosive rage disorder and they just start screaming, there has to be a reason. You can't just say, my person is boring, so I'm just going to have him hit things sometimes. That is no more interesting than having him be boring. A guy who just hits things with no reason doesn't make any sense. Now, there has to be a logical reason for everything your person does. And it can't just be, well, I wanted a scene in a magical forest, and so now my guy, he's a bird watcher, and so we go into the forest. It has to make logical sense. right? We don't just make up things for no reason, right? So if our guy, our girl is going to have an explosive rage disorder, there has to be a reason that they have it. And then make it interesting. Show them struggling with that part of themselves. You know, they rage, and then when they're done raging, they see how much that's hurt people. And then they have an overwhelming amount of guilt and they feel really bad about it. And then they try to make it up, and they don't have a lot of friends, and a lot of their family members aren't close to them. It's hard for them to keep employees. It's hard for them to keep friends. It's hard for anybody to want to be around them because they do this, and they eat themselves alive. They feel so bad. They want to cure. They can't stop. They try to stop. Make it interesting. Don't just make a person just like scream at people and then 5 minutes later he's fine. Like, if you're going to build it into their character, build every bit of it. Why are they like that? Oh, they have childhood trauma, PTSD that they bottle up, and they're always trying to act very cool and calm and hold everything together. And they can only do that for so long, and then boom, they explode. After they explode, they're fine and they go back to that cool, calm exterior. Make it interesting, give it a reason, have them deal with the aftermath of it, have the people around them react to it. Make it interesting. And that's the thing. You have to really understand people and motivation. Why do people do the things that they do? And it really comes down to, what do you want? People are doing things to get something, right? I stand up and I walk into the kitchen because I want coffee. I work a job because I want to pay my rent. You're doing things for a reason. Build that reason and make it really interesting. Rosen, maybe his brother is the older one, so he gets all the accolades, he gets all the everything. Everything's in his land is handed down to the oldest son. He gets nothing. So he's not going to stand for that because he thinks he's just as good as his brother. He doesn't think his brother deserves it just because he was born 2 years before him. So, you're not better than me just because you're older than me. Oh, you think you're the powerful one? Oh, dad thinks you're better than me? Maybe he's got daddy issues. Oh, daddy only respected my brother. He didn't respect me because he knew I was never going to walk in his footsteps. He groomed my brother and he ignored me. Well, I'm going to show him I'm going to be better than him. I'm going to be better than my brother. I'm going to be better than both of them. And then I'm going to look down on them from my throne and be like, ha ha, who's the unimportant one now? That kind of thing, right? That drives him. There's a reason that he wants this throne. There's a reason he wants this crown. There's a reason he's willing to kill the king to get it, right? It has to make sense.
Oh yeah, I get like. I mean, don't like write things just for the sake of it. Have it like have a purpose.
Yeah. I mean, motivation, human motivation. What motivated X to do Y? And that's why I think it's so important to know. Now, I've been in writing groups where it's like, everybody, what did your main character eat for breakfast today? Who cares? If it's not super important to the story. Now, if my main character is obsessed with having the same breakfast every day, if he wants oatmeal and he has to have oatmeal, and if there is no oatmeal, his day cannot go on until he gets that oatmeal. And you better go get my oatmeal, wife, or else, right? If he just says, "Okay, you're not getting me any oatmeal," then I'm sitting here and I'm not going to work today. I'm not stoking the fire. I'm not cutting the grass. I'm not uh, building the log cabin, whatever. until you get me my oatmeal. I have to have my oatmeal. If he breaks down in hysterics, if he cries, if he throws fits, and then he gets his oatmeal and he's fine, then I care what my character had for breakfast. Right? But if it's just an arbitrary, okay, everybody, question of the day. What section of the newspaper is your main character's favorite? He sets that crap on fire. He doesn't read the paper. Next. Like it's I hate that kind of stuff. I don't think you need to know what kind of toenail clippers your main character has, right? I don't think that kind of stuff is important. But I think what drives him, what his motivations are, what his goals are, what his childhood was like, what his hopes are, what his fears are, I think that stuff matters. Whether he likes wool or cotton sweaters, I don't care. Right? Unless it really, really matters. If he has to have wool sweaters and if his sweater isn't, mommy dearest, no wire hangers. Like if it's like that, yeah. But don't get bogged down with like the little tiny details. Figure out who they are and why they are that way. And since they are that way, how do they feel about it? How do they feel about being the way they are? Do they like themselves? Do they not like themselves? Do they have regrets? Do they not have regrets? How big's their ego? What drives them? And then once they reach that goal, what's their next goal? Or do they think they'll never achieve that first goal? That's the kind of stuff that I think is important. Not do they prefer lemon or lime popsicles? Who cares? Unless that's central to your character's, behavior, I don't think that kind of stuff is important. I think it's just time wasting. I hear you coughing in there. Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm good. Also, Carl says that to me and my oatmeal.
I know how Carl feels about his oatmeal. So yeah, if it's that kind of thing, like if it's an obsessive deed, if it matters and it shapes your character, absolutely. I have a family member who is obsessed with the color red. And this family member eats all the red food. And no one else is allowed to have the red food. And you think I'm kidding, but I'm not. Popsicles, jelly beans, jello, it doesn't matter. If it comes in red, they immediately take all the red ones, say, these are mine, and put them aside for themselves. And they will throw a fit if anybody else has one. And I can tell you, there was one time I was at a family birthday party and there was a birthday cake and it had like red flower roses like in an arch across the top. So there were probably like 10 red roses. And some people don't like that kind of icing. I do. So I asked for a piece with the red rose on it. I was not the only one. There were several people. Like I said, there were like 10 of these red roses on this cake. I am standing in the living room with this cake and I'm talking to somebody. And red obsessed family member comes up behind me, stabs the red flower on my cake, yoinks it off with her fork, and says, "This is mine."
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So something like that, yeah, put it in because that's crazy. And it shows who your character is. But if it's something dumb, right? Does your main character prefer waffles or pancakes? I don't care. I don't care. It's not integral to this story. It does not matter. Don't get bogged down in the details that don't matter. Find the things that do. Find the things that shape your character. And I think one of the things I do find is that people who don't understand other people really do struggle with writing characters. But I think you can study human behavior. And I think there are fascinating articles, studies on human experiments and things that you can draw from. Or, find a real life person that you want to pattern your character after. Find out everything you know about that person and shape your character around that. You don't have to get bogged down. I mean, if it's not going to matter, don't put it in there. Does your main character print or use cursive? No, right? No, 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 no. I hate these things too. I belong to some writing groups where you have to participate a certain percentage of these things, and I roll my eyes at these things all the time. Your main character creates a TikTok profile. What is their name? Seriously, really? And they'll say, now, I understand it could be a fantasy character, but let's just say for argument's sake that TikTok exists in their world. What would their username be? I mean, does this really help anybody? Is anybody really helped by that? Does anybody sit down and go, ooh, if only I can come up with the perfect TikTok name for my character, my whole story will just fall into place. These kinds of things just drive me up a wall because I feel like it's just like nonsense filler. It's just to make people feel like, look, I wrote something without actually writing something. When people ask me for advice, they're like, I have this idea, I have that idea, but I have fear and I have doubt and I'm afraid no one's going to like it. We all feel that way. We all feel that way. My advice is you push that feeling aside, you sit down and you write, and you keep writing, and you keep writing, and you just don't ever stop writing. You just write. That's it. You sit down and you write. There's no other secret. Whatever's in your head, let it come out. And then go read it again. Organize it. Rewrite it. Restructure it. Add more oomph. Add more detail. Add more action. Add more dialogue. Add more conflict. You know, that's it. Just write, read, write, read, write. That's it. Easy peasy. Except it's not easy at all, right? Are you okay, Bunny?
Yeah, I'm doing good. Also, Carl referred to the red obsessed relative as creepy.
No, I mean, see, something like that, right? If you see that somebody is so obsessed with the color red that they can't even let a kid eat a red jelly bean because they have to have it. It's weird. And like Carl said, it's a little creepy. Like it's a strange, strange thing, but it tells you something about that person. It's a very odd character detail. But I think those are the little things that matter, right? If your main character was building a snowman, what vegetable would they use for the nose? Who cares? Like, that doesn't matter to me. That's not going to come up in my world. It's not worth exploring that. What is worth exploring is if your sister challenges you, if you and your sister are ruling a kingdom together and she challenges your authority, what are you going to do? What would you do? Right? That matters more to me than whether or not she likes her toast buttered. You don't get bogged down on the little details. That's my point. What really matters are motivations. Why do people do the things they do? And there are some, like, just given motivations. Like, some people need to be certain. They need to know what is going to happen. They need to have some sense of security. They need to know wife isn't going to leave, or husband, or significant other. They need to know that they won't get fired, won't lose their house, They need to feel that way. So they become very controlling. They need to know the future. So they control everything they can because they are trying to prevent bad things from happening. So is your character one of those? Right? Some people are just the opposite. They need chaos, just the opposite. Oh my God. I don't know how I did that. Sorry, it was my mouse. Um, some other people, and I think we've all met people like this, they need chaos. When something is going good, they sabotage it. When they're happy, they break something. When things are calm, they create a storm. And we all know people like this. I I have a brother that's not currently in my life for various reasons, but at a very young age, he would make these model airplanes with our male guardian. They would buy these kits at the craft store. They would take out all these little parts and they would like glue them all together. They would get these little paints and they would like paint them and let them dry and then they would put them on the shelf. And my brother would finish like this model, they would paint it, they'd put it on the shelf, and then one day he would just like grab it and break it. He would like throw a fit and smash it. And it wasn't just the model airplanes he did this with. He did this with all kinds of things. Even like if he was friends with somebody and this was like his buddy who would come over all the time and they would hang out and play sports and ride the bus and he'd just get in fights with them and he'd get in their faces and scream at them and tell them to go away and he'd actually get in physical fights with people and it was like he couldn't have calm. He couldn't have peace. He had to have chaos. I don't know why. I think some people feel like it's all going to go to heck anyway. So why wait for it? Why not just force it now, right? And so you have people who need calm, certain security, and then you have people who hate it. They can't have it, they can't handle it. It feels wrong. It feels like, nope, this is too good. This is gonna break one day. Nope, this is too good. This is gonna go away. I better just throw it away now so I can save myself the heartache later, right? You have some people who need recognition. And I meet people like this at work who, if they cross the street, they have to go in the group chat and be like, everybody, I crossed to the street yesterday. I went from Main Street on the west side to Main Street on the east side. I crossed 2 lanes. I looked both ways. And then I put something in the mailbox. I turned around and I crossed again. And they want you to applaud. That's great, Betty. And we do, because we know Betty needs the recognition. Wow, that's great, Betty. Good for you. Oh, that's such good news, Betty. Oh, wow. Did you take pictures? I'd love to see them. And there's me that I just put the little thumbs up emoji. I'm like, yay, right? But some people, they need that. They need to be told they're doing good. They need those pats on the back. Is your character one of those people? Then you've got people who need power. They need to be in charge. They need to be in control. They need to tell you what to do. And some of these people are insufferable because they will throw their power around. Do you want to be blocked? Do you want to be fired? Do you want me to kick you out? They love being able to affect other people. They like having control over another person's feelings, another person's ability to survive. What are you doing? Chaos, kitty. See? Do you see?
Oh,
It was too
I,
good, it was too quiet, and the kitty created chaos. This is a real life example of the need for chaos, and it is a cat. A
and
sweet.
the recognition for the chaos
Yes,
that she's
yes,
caused.
yes. And now she's getting recognized for her chaos. Yes, I've enabled bad behavior. Ah, she will do it again because it worked. What are you doing? Oh my gosh. No, that box is not your enemy. Oh my gosh. Stop it. Don't you dare crawl in there. Wow. You
Carl
are,
said enabler.
I am an enabler. I'm a kitty enabler. This kitty will never learn. She will never change. She will continue to seek chaos. Oh, you think you're good? So she tried to crawl inside the box the Christmas tree came in, but yeah, she couldn't get in there. So she walked around the other side and she did this like little deer hop bloop, right over the box to see if she could get in the other side. So now she's trying that.
Oh, is that working out for the kitty?
She got her head in there. Oh, now she's found some bubble wrap inside the box. Uh-oh.
Carl says I hate that.
That bubble wrap is a game changer. But yes, this is the thing. Find out what is important to your main character. What do they need? Right? Because everything flows from that. I need to feel secure, right? And so I do X, Y, and Z. Everything is in search of that sense of security, right? But some people want to be needed. I think we've all known people like that, where they need people to rely on them because they need to feel like they matter, like they make a difference, right? It's very important to them to feel like necessary. And then you've got the nurturing people, right? I go to cancer treatments. I've been very open about my battle with colon cancer for the last few years, and the people, the nurses are just like the kindest people. And when they go to put the IV in, or even take it out, or to take blood or whatever, it's always, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. Tell me if I'm hurting you. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, that's going to bruise. I'm sorry. Right? They don't want to hurt anybody and they want to care for people and they want to take care of people. And it's very important to them to do things for others, to help. That's a part of who they are. They want to care for others. They're very nurturing, they're very loving, they're very kind people. The people at the hospital that I go to and people at the infusion center, they are just, and they're not all female nurses, there are male nurses. And um actually there's all kinds of male staff members. It's not just women, but they're all just incredible, nurturing, kind. I don't think there's anybody there that hasn't been kind to me, or, do you need a pillow? Do you need a blanket? Are you cold? They even have people who come around with guitars and they'll sit there and sing with you or sing to you, and just they're really great people. So some people, that's it. They just need to care. They need to take care of somebody. What do they call that? The Florence Nightingale thing, where these nurturing people look for sick partners so they can perpetually care for them, because that makes them feel good, like caring for other people, taking care of somebody, helping somebody who's sick or disabled just makes them feel really good. But all these things, find out what your character needs, what's important to them, what drives them. And that will help a lot. Because if you're stuck, because that's a question I get a lot, and it's a question I see a lot, is I'm one third of the way into my book and I'm stuck. I don't know what will happen next. What do I write next? What do I do next? I don't know what to do. And this is the advice I was given, and it has helped me immensely. And so I will give this advice. If you do not know what should happen to your character next, this is what you ask yourself. What is the worst thing that could happen to, let's say your character's name is Bob. What is the worst thing that could happen to Bob right now? Right? What is the worst thing that could happen to Bob? Right? And now you have to, here's Bob, and he's on his donkey and he's going through the desert. What is the worst thing that could happen right now? Sandstorm? Uh, spaceship crashes in front of him? Um, herd of camels comes at him. His wife, who's on her own donkey, falls over unconscious into the sand. Um, it becomes the hottest day on record. He gets lost. Um, he finds a cave and he can't help but go in, and it's a nightmare in there. A swarm of scorpions comes after him. Like, what is the worst thing that could happen to Bob right now? His donkey dies. Like, what is the worst thing that could happen? Make that happen. Find it and make it happen, right? Shake it up. Shake up Bob's world. Knock him off his donkey, right? And that advice has always served me really, really well. If I ever get stuck and think, what should happen next? I go, you know what? Let's have somebody throw knives at him. Why not? Am I rambling now? Do I not make
No,
sense?
no. Just reading Carl of he gets attacked by orphans.
Yes, what's the worst thing that could happen to Jarl right now? A band of rogue orphans. Yes, yes, Robin Hood character and his merry band of rogue orphans comes out of Sherwood Forest. Yes, yes. And I know it sounds absurd, and I'm not saying that you have to keep it in the story, but it does make you think, right? You just start thinking, and then you go, oh my gosh, I know what could happen right now. His wife could just pass out. She falls down, she's burning up hot, there's no shade, there's no water, there's no one in sight. What does he do? Does he leave her there and go for help? Does he pull her onto his donkey and try to lead them both? Does he walk in front of the donkey and lay her across it? Like, what do you do? Does he leave her there and run off for help and hope that he can get back in time? Right? It makes you think, and that's what's important. That's what's important. Because now you're not stuck anymore. Now you see that what Bob needs is an obstacle. Bob getting through the donkey on a desert and nothing bad happens is boring. Bob getting through the donkey on the desert after, he's been attacked by Jarl and his band of orphans, you know, he finally gets to the city and he's limping because they beat him up and stole everything he owned, and they even took his donkey and he had to crawl, but he makes it bloody and broken to the dune village. That's more interesting than Bob rode his donkey to town, right? That's boring. That's boring. Have a dragon snatch Bob off that donkey and take him up the mountain. Now have Bob get to the village. you know, Shake it up. And don't be afraid to shake it up. Do it. Shake Bob. Grr. Think of it like a snow globe. Just whack that thing.
Just shake Bob
Yeah, just shake
like
Bob.
snow globe.
Yeah, get Bob out of his comfort zone. You have a donkey, Bob? Grr. Now you don't. What donkey? Oh, you thought you were going to the village, Bob? Village has been buried in an avalanche. Now where you going? Just shake it up, change it up. Don't make it so easy.
Yes, they have like the character on a journey.
Yeah, right. But what journey is more interesting? Is it more interesting if Bob gets up, he chooses pancake or waffle, he gets in his car, he drives to the office, and now he's at the office, he sits down, he turns on his computer, he opens a spreadsheet. The end. Is that interesting? Or is it Bob wakes up. There's no pancakes, there's no waffles. The power goes out. A plane has hit his building. Everybody's being evacuated, but the stairwell's on fire. He can't get out that way. He goes out to the balcony, but he's on the second floor. He's gonna have to drop down. He climbs over the railing, but Bob is, overweight and he doesn't have any upper body strength, so it takes him forever to get over the railing. It's hot. He feels the flames, the sweat. He gets over the railing. He's making his way down. His sweaty hands slip. He falls into the bush. He bounces, but he's okay. He limps his way to his vehicle. Right? Which one's more interesting? Do you want to
I
see Bob eat toast and drive to work? Or do you want to see Bob trying to get to work and a band of wild Mustangs tries to trample him and a stranger scoops him up and takes him through a portal and now he's in Starville, right? Like something more interesting. Don't make it linear. Don't make it easy. Don't let Bob get to work that easily. It's like that game, Frogger, right? It's a game of crossing the stream, but it's not easy. Throw obstacles in there, throw challenges, and challenge yourself, right? What could I do right now to this character to shake up his world? What would cause him some emotional damage? What would cause him some growth opportunity? Okay, you couldn't get in the box, and so now you're trying to get in a bag. Is there no limit to what
yeah.
you? I'm an enabler. This is the thing. Oh my gosh. I don't even know what's in that bag. I'm not gonna lie. I remember purchasing something from that store, but I don't remember what, and I do not know what's in the bag, other than a kitty. Come here. Let's have a talk. Come here. Do you want to be a YouTuber? Do you want to be a writer? Come here. Let's talk about Bob. Yeah, come here. Let's tell my audience. Come on. Who's a sweet, sweet kitty? Yes, it's you. Of course it's you. Come on. I know. So what do you think about the story? What do you think should happen next? What would be the worst thing that could happen to the queens right now? A war? Oh, someone they thought was an ally could turn against them? Why would they do that? Oh, they want their fortune and they're going to take it by force? They underestimate them because they're girls and they're young? That kitty has some really great ideas for the story.
Oh, Carl's is such a sweet cat.
Wow. Did you hear that? Carl's a kitty enabler. Yeah. Did you hear her meowing? She had a
A
lot to
little,
say.
but I don't know if that's like like through my door or like
Aw,
yeah.
you had so much to say. It's okay. She couldn't. So the kitty story is she didn't want to just be out in the open. She has a need to get into spaces where she doesn't belong. She spotted a box on the floor that a Christmas tree came in, and she realized she could make that her new home. Unfortunately, the box is situated on its side, and the flap is really big, and she couldn't lift it up and get in there. But she did find a chunk of bubble wrap, and that brought her joy. But it didn't give her comfort. It didn't give her shelter. It didn't give her the safe feeling that she was after. So then she found a bag on the kitchen floor. And she was like, well, maybe if I can't get in the box, I could get in the bag. Unfortunately, the bag doesn't have the structural integrity that a box has, and it did not offer her the safety she was looking for. And now she is depressed and laying on her heating pad.
Aw, it
I
sounds like
know.
being the kitty.
It is a really, really tough life. And all she wanted was safety and security. And that's the other thing. I like to outline because I like to know where my story is going to end, right? How does this end? Does it end with these two queens ruling together, figuring it out, growing old together, sitting on that throne when they're 99? Or does it end in some other tragic way? Now, the kitty was looking for safety and security in a new home, and she didn't find it. She found depression and a heating pad, right? How does your story end? Is it a tragic ending? Is it a happy ending? Now, you know me. I don't like the happy endings. I don't enjoy the predictable formulaic story where character, inciting incident, act one, midpoint, act two, oh, it seems like all hope is lost, and then boom, they win in the end. I don't like that. I don't like watching it. I know that's how most movies are. I know that's how all the Hallmark Christmas movies are. And I accept that, but I'm allowed to have guilty pleasures. Um, I don't like writing it because in life, people don't always get what they want. People don't get the happy ending. And if they do, it's only for a short period of time, and then it's not what you thought and it falls apart. Reality reveals itself. The truth becomes known, right? And so I liked I like to write endings that are less predictable, less happy. And I really like endings that make you think. I was watching this show one time, and it was some kind of like medical drama show. And this girl was really sick, and her father, through the whole show, had been promising to take her to the beach. But by the time they figure out what's wrong with her, they realize it's an incurable thing. And they tell the father, like, that the daughter's not going to make it. And she's in the hospital. She doesn't know what's going on. And she's like, Daddy, are we still going to the beach? And he's like, Yeah. And then she passes away. And you're like, Wait, I thought they were going to the beach. Right.
Oh
But
no.
it has like that, ooh, it has that like gut punch. And I like that. I really like the emotional, like, oh, no way. Oh, you can't be serious. Like, oh, I like the shock. I like the unexpected. I like the unpredictable. I like that little bit of, oh, right? It's so much better and it sticks with you longer. You know, that movie Glory that I saw when I was, I don't know, like 12 years old or something in school, as part of a film class, they showed it. This old movie with a young Cary Elwes and a young Matthew Broderick. And I think even Denzel Washington might be in that. Um, but man, when I don't want to give away the ending. I think I have before, but the ending to that movie, it just oh oh it wrecked me and it never stopped. Like it has had an effect on me for all these years. It's just been like this thing I remember that moment, you know. I don't remember the endings of some of these predictable movies. It's like, okay, yeah, all right. Happy ending, clap, clap, credits roll, yawn. Do you want dinner? Right. But that was like, what? Oh, and then the visuals, like that whole thing affected me. And it was the moment that I realized you don't have to follow the formula. The good guys don't have to win. And that is okay. And in some cases, it's better. And I always remembered that. And that's why I don't write like that. That's why I'm not like, and then Johnny defeated the monster and went home for meatloaf, and they all lived happily ever after. No, they didn't. That meatloaf, it's a monster. The meatloaf came alive, jumped off the plate, and started attacking Johnny's father. That's so much more interesting to me. That's not Meatloaf's son. That's the mailman. Like, what? Right? That's more interesting to me. That's your mom's boyfriend. Yeah, that's right, Cindy. I knew you were cheating. Want another slice of Ralph? Right. It's an extreme example. I'm being goofy, but you know what I mean? I really like the shock value. I really like keeping people guessing. I think that's an important part of writing. Where am I starting and where am I going? Right? What is the saying? If you don't know where you're going, any road will take you there. So I really like to know where I'm going, and that helps too.
Oh,
All right.
real quick,
Sure,
Carl
sure.
was robbed by a meatloaf once.
The meatloaf or a meatloaf?
This is a meatloaf.
Was this in Cleveland? Was this in Detroit? I think I read about this.
A meatloaf. A, I guess, yeah, a singular loaf of meat.
A singular loaf of meat in Cleveland. Yeah, it makes sense to me, honestly. Some of those meatloaves. Oh my gosh, I know I don't want to just like tell all my life stories, but I had a family member who cooked for us when we were kids, who was deathly afraid of food poisoning and especially tapeworms for some reason. She was always convinced there was going to be tapeworms in the food. And so she overcooked everything to get the tapeworms out. I'm not kidding. I know. But this was just like a thing that she had read somewhere and that she was very afraid of undercooked meat. And everything got cooked within an inch of its life. All the things we ate were gray and dry, like little, the soles of a shoe. And her meatloaf, oh my gosh, it was I don't even know if meat is supposed to be this color, but there was always like this thick, dark crust on the top that was like half an inch thick, and it was so dry, you had to chew it forever. It had these big chunks of onion in it. It was awful. Worst meatloaf ever. Maybe it was one of those.
Yeah, I could
That's
see it
what I
being
was
one of
thinking. Maybe
those.
it was one of those that came after our chatter.
It's been yummy.
Oh, I forgot. He likes burnt meat.
Oh.
Yes, you would have loved this. And you would not have had a tapeworm. Can confirm I never had a tapeworm, but I grew up just not liking food. Like I didn't like steak, I didn't like meatloaf, I didn't like pork chops. I mostly just ate peanut butter and jelly or white rice in a bowl with milk and cinnamon and sugar. I ate those things pretty much every day because I could not stand that food. And then when I grew up and ventured out and like went to restaurants and ate at other people's homes and had other people cook for me and such, I was shocked at how good food could be. It was so different from what I grew up with. Very, very different. But I can confirm that I never got a tapeworm. So, but that's another thing that can drive your character. Phobias. Does your character have a phobia? And if so, how does that affect their everyday life? And that is something to keep in mind in a scene. Like, how would their phobia be affecting this situation right now? And if you get stuck, and you're like, what should I write next? You know, what's their phobia doing? How can we trigger that phobia? What can we do with that? Right? It's just another little something to put in your character that can affect different situations. But the thing is, if you're going to interject something to your character, like a meatloaf phobia or something, don't bring it up just once and then we never hear from it again. It should be integral to the story and it should come up multiple times and it should affect things. And maybe they can overcome it, or maybe it's debilitating, or maybe they just accept it and learn to cope with it. I have a very teeny tiny, mild appreciation for a certain actor. At a point in my life, I realized this is not going away. I must see every movie that this actor is in. I must see them all multiple times. I must watch them over and over again. I must watch all the trailers for his movies repeatedly. I must mark on the calendar and take the day off work when his movie is coming out so I can be the first person to see it. It's very important to me. And I realized that this mild, very mild appreciation for this actor's talent was not going away. And I had a moment where I was like, do I deal with this and move past it and put it behind me? Or do I accept this about myself? That this mild appreciation for this highly talented actor is part of my life now, and I embrace it like an old friend, and we just walk through life together. And that is what I decided. And everybody who knows me knows what actor this is. He is an honorary member of my team at work. He is my background for Teams meetings. When people wish me happy birthday, they do it with gifts of him because I embraced it. I embraced my mild appreciation, and it's now part of my character. And you can do that with your characters too.
The chatter has a phobia of skunks.
I did know this about our chatter. Um, our chatter also has a mild appreciation for a certain actress um, that won't be named. He too has embraced it as part of his character.
Cared.
I knew
Added.
somebody who had a pet skunk. They actually took it to the vet and had the like scent glands or whatever removed so that it can't spray. And it was just like a cat. They named it Peppy after that character in the cartoon. And it used a litter box and it ate out of a cat bowl and it just walked around the house like a cat.
Oh. What do you feed a skunk? What do you feed them?
I don't know. I really do think it was some kind of meat out of a can.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know. Something out of a can. I don't know if you can get skunk food or.
Let me say that's scary.
Aw, I understand. Do I have any phobias? Maybe. I can't think of it right now, but I'm sure I'm scared of something.
I can think of one.
Oh?
Knives.
Oh,
Yeah.
I am so I don't even own a knife. This is a weird character quirk. Um, I I cut myself very easily. I have cut myself badly a couple of times because I'm ill coordinated. I've said this before. I cannot roller skate. I cannot ice skate. I don't have a certain amount of physical coordination. I don't know why. It's just part of who I am. I think it's just like a DNA thing. Now you're going to try to get in the laundry hamper. Are you kidding me? You have a whole, look at how big this place is. Why do you want to be in a small confined space? No, go ahead, get in the laundry. It is fine. But it's gonna fall over. Do you know how you weigh 5 pounds? You're gonna knock it over. It's not gonna give you the joy that you think. No, go find out. Go find out for yourself. She's staring at me now. She thinks I'm crazy.
Oh, she needs the hamper, says Carl.
Ugh, it's right outside the laundry room door. And she just is like, ooh, I couldn't get in the box and I couldn't get in the bag. Maybe I can get in this thing. Or you could go in the areas that are designated and designed and made comfortable for kitties. Why don't you want any of those? They're specially designed for you. Contrary. Some people are contrary. Some people have the need to just be defiant. Whatever you want them to do, they have to do the opposite because being defiant is part of their central core. Now, I'm not shaming any kitties in particular here, but some cats are like that. I think she's gonna come tell you
Oh,
that I wouldn't let her in the hamper. It's fine. You can tell her. She's on my side. I already told her. I already told her what you did. She heard the hamper. She knows. Oh my gosh, she's going back to the hamper.
no.
Incorrigible. But yeah, you're right. Knives. I can't trust myself with them. And I really don't want to cut myself again. And so I don't own them because I can't trust myself with them. I mean, I own little like a serrated steak knife with a rounded tip. I know it's so crazy, but that's what I own is a safety steak knife. That's it. That's my one and only knife. I use it for everything. Or I use kitchen shears to cut like meat and stuff. I 1000% won't use a knife. I can't. I cannot trust myself with it. I can't. I always say if anybody wants to stab me, they're gonna have to bring their own knife because you won't find one here. If you see them on an episode of Forensic Files, they brought that with them. Tell the police they brought their own murder weapon. She doesn't own knives. I don't. But yeah, I did know Carl was afraid of skunks. He's been like that for a really long time. I always thought it was kind of funny. But it's not. I know it's not funny to him. You know, these things are very real to people. Just like there are plenty of people who have knives that are like, "What? How do you cook without knives?" And I say, "Listen, I've had years of practice and dedication, and I'm really good at it. It just takes it just takes dedication and time." But that's the fun thing about creating characters, I think, is all the little ins and outs, all the little quirks of their personality, you know, that matter to the story. You know, don't like I said, don't get bogged down in the details. You know, does she use the dryer or does she hang up her clothes to dry? Like, unless it matters, don't get bogged down. Because I've seen people do that too, where they're like, I'm still creating my character. I've been working on it for 6 months. And they've got a whole sheet of like their favorite color, what kind of toothpaste they use. And like I get that detail and it's great that you're digging that deeply, but I also think maybe it's overkill. And sometimes people put a lot of effort into one thing, like one story detail, so that they don't have to start writing. Well, I can't start writing. I'm still working on my character. If you work on your character for 6 years, then you don't have to start writing, right? So it's a way to look productive, and then it's a stall tactic to not write. At a point, you just have to say, okay, I'm going to write, and then make it up as you go along. If your character is in a hallway and there's two doors and they have to choose chocolate or vanilla, okay, then that's the time to decide, right? Right now, to start writing, you don't have to know if they like spearmint or wintermint, you know? You don't have to know that right now. You can start writing without knowing that. As long as you know what's driving your character, what the goal is, who they were when the story started, and the inciting incident, and then like what journey they're going to go on after. And everything after that, we can figure out as we go, right? And having an idea for the ending, I also think is very helpful. But I think the most important thing is just to write. just to write. And if you get stuck, if you're like, okay, Bob woke up, he got to the office, the aliens came and got him, and now he's on planet Zoran, and he's on a donkey-like creature, and he's going through the desert, and now I don't know what to do, right? Now's at least you got that far. You've got a story. You've started something. We can figure out what Bob does next. But let's get Bob on the donkey. Let's get Bob on the planet. Let's get Bob out the door. Let's wreck Bob's life. Let's put Bob on a journey. And then if the donkey gets stuck, we'll push him off, right? But just start writing. Just start. And I will take my own advice and I will start writing chapter 4. I don't know if I just keep putting every episode on my channel. Nobody's watching my channel. Nobody cares about what I'm writing at all. So it's almost, and I know like YouTube changed the rules, and because I'm not a monetized channel, and I never will be, right? I never will be. Um, so they don't push out content that isn't monetized because it doesn't make them any money. And I do get that. And then people who use ad blockers, if you view my content, your view doesn't count. So I understand. But it is a little disheartening to spend the time writing and recording and making the images and putting the video together and then like nobody watches it. It feels a little bit like I could spend that time writing because I'm working on Detective Faraday and I really would like to get him rolling. I'd like to get Detective Faraday's Ghost out and self-published, and I want to get Detective Faraday and the Seance Photograph um, edited and out, you know, and I really want to focus on just writing and self-publishing things this year. And so WaryTales is probably going to take a little bit of a back seat in terms of stories because nobody's watching them anyway. And it's such a time commitment that I could spend in other things. So I don't know if I will record these additional chapters or if I'll just start publishing them or if I'll put it all together as a book and publish that. I really don't know how I'm going to do it yet. Um, but I said I would keep writing this series, and so I'm going to. It's a goal for the year. If YouTube just becomes too much of a time killer and something that I can't keep up with, I'm gonna shelve it until I get the Faraday stuff out and then come back to it. Maybe by then YouTube will kind of fix itself and unmonetized channels who aren't, you know, the popular mainstream kind of gossipy topics maybe can get seen. But right now I'm just kind of I'm just kind of nothing and nobody to them and so they don't think anybody needs to see my content, which is fine. I know they want gaming and anime and gossip and Reddit and TikTok drama. I know that's what they want, and that's not me. So I get it. But, I can't stop writing. Once I pulled the log out of the dam, the whole thing collapsed and now I just can't stop. So I'm just not going to stop. But if I just have to go on a different platform, then maybe I'll do that. But in the meantime, I said I would give writing advice and give writing tips and show my process every week. And so I'm going to keep doing that as long as it makes sense. And I'll bring Wary Tales when I can, but my focus really is on Detective Faraday right now and getting Detective Faraday's Ghost out, getting the Haunted Hotel finished, those kinds of things. But I'm still around, I'm still here. It's just, I just have my time kind of sucked up with other things right now. I don't even have an idea for a Wary Tale story, I really don't. I haven't really sat down and thought about it. My thoughts have just been consumed with Detective Faraday, and it makes me so sad because my Detective Faraday stories only get like 50 views, if that. It's so sad because I just love the character so much and I love writing it so much, and I wish people would embrace it. I wish people liked it as much as I do, but they don't. But maybe one day, that's my goal. If I keep going, if I make it the best that I can, if I, really dig deep and push myself, maybe I can make it tense and interesting and mysterious and craft these mysteries and maybe people like it, you know. So anyway, I'm gonna go. I think I started rambling. Thank you, Carl, for being here as always. Thank you, Bunny, for
Uh,
moderating my stream and being the chat helper, even though you are quite ill. I appreciate it.
it was fun. I Carlos has to keep streaming.
Yeah, I
Keep
mean,
doing good,
I'm hoping it
just like
helps
get it
somebody,
out there.
right? Because writing is very stressful. It really is. You want to write something good and you want it to be interesting and you want people to care about it as much as you do. And people are very passionate about the things that they write. They mean a lot to the writer. The characters feel like real people to us, you know? And so it can be nerve-wracking because you want other people to like it. And so it's like, should I do X or should I do Y? And there's all these rules and there's all this advice, and you don't know what to take or not. And then you join these writing groups, and I'm telling you, they're absolutely absurd. Your character has heartburn. Does he take Tums or Mylanta? Who cares? What does that have to do with anything? Your character has a day off work. Does he spend it in bed or on the couch? Oh, like
Uh,
it's Halloween. Does your character dress up like a pumpkin or a scarecrow? What? Like and people take it very seriously. And like if you don't answer, I'm not telling I will get DMs like, "You didn't participate in today's question." Uh-huh. Take a hint. But I don't want to be rude because there are like good things. It's just these questions of the day drive me up a wall. And the people who are like, I've been working on my character for 7.5 years. All right, put that aside and write. Write. Write the story. Come on. At some point, right? At some point you have to step off that diving board and get into the water. At some point you got to get off that diving board and into the water. And you have to just take a deep breath, pick up your pen and write. You just have to. If you don't ever take that first step, you'll never, ever get finished. You can work on your character for the rest of your life. You can tell me if his favorite M&M is the green one or the blue one, but you won't have written anything if you don't pick up your pen and write. It's the most important thing. Just write. Who cares if it's not good? We can make it good. We can make it better. Just write it. Just start, right? Just start. All right. Everybody have a good night. Happy Thanksgiving. I'm going to work a little bit on chapter 4, work a little bit on Detective Faraday. I am going to fish a cat out of a hamper. um, incorrigible. Character study. Going to make a character who's the human embodiment of my cat. All right. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.